we'll rattle through. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Dominique now, but again, thank you so much for coming.
Hi everyone, sorry about that. I was just trying to juggle letting people in and recording and slides, so apologies for that. So I'm Dominique Hill and I'm Merton's Climate Change Projects Officer, and I'm going to give you a very quick introduction to the circular economy and how we can all play our part before we hear from a couple of local initiatives. So what is the circular economy? Well, since the Industrial Revolution, we've been living in a linear economy, which means that we take resources, make them into what we need, and then we dispose of them, which generates huge amounts of waste that we need to deal with as a society every day. The circular economy offers an alternative to this approach and keeps the materials in use again and again. And this approach uses fewer resources and energy and produces less waste and pollution, which helps minimize the cost to the environment. The circular economy also promotes a sharing and low carbon economy by creating ways which enable people to share resources, products, and space. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation is one of the organizations leading the way on the circular economy. It brings together businesses, innovators, cities, governments, and universities looking to build and scale a circular economy. And they've developed 3 key principles underpinning the circular economy. So the first is designing out waste and pollution. So these largely come from the way we design things. So if we design out waste, we tackle the problem at its source. For example, this could include designing products for multiple uses, but also designing them for easy repair and maintenance, and for easy disassembly once reuse and repair isn't possible anymore. The second principle is keeping products and materials in use for longer, and that can be achieved by reusing them, repairing them, or remanufacturing them, and involves finding more efficient ways to recover materials at the end of their first life and preparing them for successful future lives. And finally, the third principle is regenerating natural systems. So the natural environment doesn't create waste. Everything is food for something else. And we can restore and even help regenerate natural systems through the circular economy. So for example, we can help return nutrients to the soil by recycling our food waste. The circular economy also helps protect ecosystems by reducing the amount of resources that need to be extracted in the first place. If you want to find out more about the circular economy, the Ellen MacArthur Foundation website is probably the best place to start. You can also find out quite a lot of information on the ReLondon website. They've got lots of useful resources there. So why do we need a circular economy? Well, 45% of global emissions come from the manufacture, consumption, and disposal of products and materials, basically the things we buy and consume. And in response to the climate emergency, Merton has committed to becoming a net zero carbon borough by 2050. And we can't get to net zero carbon without dealing with the emissions that are tied to our consumption. And a circular economy breaks the link between emissions and our stuff because it keeps things in use. So shifting to a low carbon circular economy will help tackle those really hard to deal with consumption-based emissions. And the circular economy also offers a great chance for businesses to be innovative and reduce their carbon emissions. So as regulatory trends move towards circular approaches, new business models are also emerging. So for example, you can lease and rent products to consumers so that businesses take control of the maintenance, reuse, repair, and ultimately the recycling of that product. And in turn, that can also help create more low carbon jobs within the economy. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation actually estimates that there's 1.8 trillion euros worth of value to be found in Europe alone by adopting circular approaches. So to put this in real terms, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of products which embed circular approaches at the design stage. There's a Dutch headphone company that makes fully modular headphones, which means that all the components can be swapped out and repaired. They also use different business models where you can buy the headphones and get free repairs, or you can also pay a monthly fee and you get repairs and upgrades as part of that. So they're really looking at how their business models change. And any broken parts are repaired or recycled. Another example is toast ale, which uses bread in the making of beer. So that stops waste bread from going to waste. And it also means that the company doesn't need to use as much land for growing barley, and it also saves water and reduces carbon emissions. So some kind of fun examples there. So what can you do to help build a circular economy? Well, everybody takes part in the economy, so we can all help shift it towards a circular economy. So you can think about what you buy, what you throw away, and how that can change. You can also support local initiatives that are embracing the circular economy, and think about your work and what your business or employer can do to be more circular. I think it's really important to note that something which isn't fully circular but still helps reduce waste and keep materials in use for longer is still a step in the right direction. So basically, circular-ish is fine. And you can also help by telling others about the circular economy, so just raising awareness. And now, without further ado, we're going to hear from a couple of local circular initiatives already happening in the borough. So to start us off, I'm going to hand over to Carola Grillo, who's one of the community leads for the green economy in Merton's Climate Action Group. Carola.
Thank you, Dominic. Hi, everyone. Thanks for making this time today. So what I wanted to do briefly, and I've got the timer with me, is that 2 slides, one to explain what Merton Climate Action is and the green economy within it, who we are, what we are trying to do. And then the second will be kind of my background and how I connected to this, to the Merton Climate Action Group eventually, which is Planet Team, and is a primary school, say, group, active group. So first of all, Merton Climate Action Group was created in the beginning of this year in January. It's got 4 different arms. So green economy is one of them. The other ones is building and energy, greening, and transport. So green economy, we co-share together with Diana Esther, who is, I think, in the audience. So, Diana, if you want to mention something after I finish, please feel free. Yeah. So we are working together to try to connect the residents within the borough and businesses to reduce carbon emissions within the borough, and obviously always willing to incorporate ideas and other people from the neighbor boroughs too. The mission is to, as you can see on the left-hand side of the slide, is to encourage waste reduction, scale up the circular economy, which is the topic of today, help build low carbon skills, encourage green businesses, encourage adoption of sustainable diets, and finally foster green investments. So obviously these things are the final aim. We are taking one thing at a time. There are projects that are quicker and others that take more time, but we are really excited to be on board already and seeing progress, a little bit of progress in some of the fronts. The initiative that have to do with with the circular economy at this very moment is we are trying to amplify what local community groups are already doing, and many of them are going to be actually addressed today in the session. So an example is community champions, for instance. Then working on securing funding for a potential circular economy hub in the borough. Encourage uptake of package share app, which everyone here can actually help populate the map within the app, and is for residents to get rid of good packaging, and at the same time businesses to uptake them and not spending time on new packaging. So this is a win-win for everyone, really. As a whole, encouraging circular economy and sustainable initiative among schools in the borough. So we are about to launch a session with head teachers and green, what is called the eco champions in the schools. So really hoping that that's going to take off the ground a lot of collaboration between schools in the borough, primary and secondary. And finally, within the circular economy really is the TerraCycle hubs. So making a very early start in trying to push it among the commercial premises in the borough and also residents. Diana, I don't know if you want to add anything. I've got 1 minute left for this slide, which I'm very proud of. If you
yeah, I'm here, Carola. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I think the word that you use is amplify. I've just reinforced that really, because I think there is so much going on in this borough, but it's very fragmented. So one of the things that we really think would add value is by just showcasing all the good things that are going on and kind of bringing them together, which is the thinking behind the Circular Economy Hub. And that's a fairly large project, so it won't, you know, be there very quickly. But yeah, I think Carolla's done a huge amount on getting some of these initiatives going and supporting others. So yeah, it's great to work both of us together as
yeah, indeed. Yeah, and with your wisdom as well and experience. Okay, so the next one is just so you understand my background. If you would, we can move to the next slide. And also is to, obviously, it tied up with the circular economy, but it also gives probably, hopefully, some ideas. Some of you in the audience might be actually very much related to primary schools or secondary schools, and this initiative could be an inspiration, perhaps, or just backing up things you've done in the past. So my kids go to Wimbledon Park Primary School. We 2 years ago with another mom in the school, we decided to set up Planet Team. Planet Team is, as you can see, a parent-led group, very active within this school, but also trying to connect with other schools to be able to actually leverage efforts and ideas. So as you can see on the left-hand side, our mission is to raise awareness of the challenges people in Planet are facing, is help Wimbledon Park Primary School continue its journey to becoming a sustainable school, engage parents and local community to help the school on the above. But also I would add, it's also trying to get that into the community. So when I think of Planet Team, I don't think just school, I think big part is school, but that naturally goes into the residents that live nearby. And it's kind of the school becomes a podium, if you will, where we kind of project ideas. So circular economy initiatives, there are a few others that I'm very proud of. We started energy, for instance, the efficiency already assessments within the school this year. But just for the circular economy purpose, I listed a few of the ideas that actually were successful. It started more than a year ago and are going to continue. Reusable party kit hire, and this is mirroring a network that is happening already beyond Merton, and it's proved to be really efficient and really well welcomed by the community. Halloween costume sale. So and these Halloween costumes come back to us, and then we resell them again. So as you can see, it can even have 5 usage or kind of frequency, if you will, or an average of 5 to 6. So that will increase, that will kind of get us a return to the school, whether it goes to the PTFA or goes to eco projects, but also gives the opportunity to all the parents to buy something that is being reused and at very low price. Worldbook Christmas show costumes, we decided to kind of try the higher approach as opposed to the sale. We will see how efficient is that. Because of COVID, we couldn't actually roll out really, but it's all prepared, all packed up, and all communicated to reactivate. Reusable cups encouraged. This is in every sort of email that has to do with gathering people in the school. We remind, bring your own cups, bring your kids' bottles, so on and so forth, and reduce wastage at events. We actually managed to convince the PTFA to start ditching plastic toys, party favors, and various other things like juice packages, and use buy in bulk, use jars, dispensable jars, and so on and so forth. So with this, I think I'm pretty much done. If you've got any questions, I think we have the Q&A at the end, and I will be very happy to give my details as well to put our heads together or help you out from the both capacities, Planet Team and co-economy lead.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Carola. Really great to hear about all of that. So next, we're going to be hearing about the Library of Things from Anthony Hopkins, who's the Head of Library Heritage and Adult Education Service for the Council. So Anthony, if I can hand over to you there.
you, Dominique, and
Thanks.
good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, I'm Anthony Hopkins. I'm the Head of Libraries, Heritage and Adult Education for the London Borough of Merton, and I'm going to talk about a new initiative that's available for Merton residents called the Library of Things. So just to give a bit of background around the Library of Things and what it is and what the service is there for. So it's a service we've established in Morden Library, and it's a service that provides a range of household items and equipment for borrowing that you may not have the space or the necessity to keep for yourself in your own household. And some of the examples of the items that we loan are things such as wallpaper strippers, hedge trimmers, lawn mowers, bread makers, projectors, a whole raft of different things available. And there's a full range and a list of what's available to borrow on our website. And also you can go into the library and see some of the items that are available for yourselves. But yeah, just just to break it down simply, it's really an initiative really that you can borrow useful things for your home and projects. It's affordable. The items do carry a small charge to rent, but it's much cheaper than obviously buying. It's convenient. It's easy. We've got lots of accessible hours as well for items to be collected, and obviously very much in keeping with today's themes around the circular economy. It's kinder to the planet and obviously reduces overall waste of equipment. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So how it works is that you go online, or you can either go online or go in person to the library, identify the items you want to borrow, reserve them, and like I said, there's a small charge attached to each of the items to borrow, and then you collect the items from the library using the self-service kiosks that are in the library, and there's lots of staff on hand as well to be able to support with the collection and returning. What we do, and with all of the items that are provided, all of the items when they were first provided were brand new, and they've been donated by companies as part of their kind of community arm, such as companies like Karcher and Bosch and other quite well-known companies. So all of the items when first provided are very high standard, very high equipment, and we have a couple of staff on hand who are responsible for the ongoing maintenance and repairs and upkeep. So every time that the items are borrowed, they're obviously of a good standard and ready to be taken away. All the kind of extra auxiliary things you may need, if it's kind of carpet cleaners from things like shampoo, or battery packs and chargers for some things, are all provided within the equipment. But also as well, what we do as well is we provide a lot of information with each of the item. So within each item that you borrow, there's an information pack about how to use the equipment. There's some YouTube tutorials and other things. So it's really just about kind of helping people to use the equipment as well, because a lot of the things which are borrowed are things that you would not that you may well need to use in your household or in your home, but you wouldn't necessarily use them that often, and things like drills and other things as well obviously require a certain bit of skill, and obviously we want to ensure that people are handling and operating everything safely. Next slide, please. And this is the example of the kiosk that you would see at Morden Library. So you can see all the items are on display. You can see some lawn mowers and carpet cleaners there, and some drills and other bits and pieces there that are available for loaning. It's a very simple operation. You can see you just go up to the kiosk, enter in the passcode and pad that you would have received before, and the door opens and you're able to borrow the item. And then it's just a similar process for returning items within the time frame that you've kind of stated that you want to borrow them. Any support you need, or if you can't get online yourself, we have staff on hand who can enable you and support you to be able to borrow the items. Next slide, please. And this is just, so we launched a scheme in March. All of the equipment and the items that have been placed in followed a kind of period of consultation that we undertook, working with our sustainable communities colleagues. We went out and spoke to a lot of residents to get advice and information around the kind of items that people would like to see or like to use through the Library of Things. And so far in the first 3 months, which, admittedly has been a little bit impacted by the ongoing pandemic, but we've had 193 local people borrowed 232 items. As you can see, around our estimates around what this is having on the economy and the local area, 60% of borrowers are more likely to repair or recycle, based on a kind of 2-year projection basis. 2 tons of carbon emissions spared through landfill and purchase prevention, and 1 ton of waste spared from landfill. And as I said, 2 local jobs have been created. One which is our kind of what we call our things technician, who is responsible for the maintenance and repair and the upkeep of all the equipment, and then an overall manager who does a lot of the kind of community outreach, engagement and promotion of the scheme. Next slide, please. And then just the next couple of slides are just a couple of community examples of where the equipment has been used. So the first one is from our partner Sustainable Merton, who were using the grass strimmer at the Mitcham Community Orchard Action Day a couple of months ago, and you can see a couple of uses of that in operation. Next slide, please. And then the next slide is an example from Little A.R.K, a local charity, who will actually be speaking after me. And this is Shaheen, who borrowed the sewing machine and has been helping to make scrub caps and bags for NHS staff during the pandemic. Next slide, please. And yeah, just to summarise, if you for further information or to order an item, please visit the Merton website, merton.gov.uk/libraries. You can go online, you can enrol, you can scroll through and browse all of the items that are available to borrow and reserve them. Or if you prefer to kind of see what's available in person, please come along and visit us at Morden Library at the kind of bottom of or at the front of Merton Civic Centre. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Anthony. So as you said, that leads in really nicely to our next item, and we're going to be hearing from Siobhan Nguyen, who's going to be introducing Little A.R.K and the work that they've been doing during the pandemic. Siobhan, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for making this time. I'm not as technical as the other speakers, so I'm more of a picture and I'm a creative person. So I'll just tell you a little bit of, so it's all about pictures, not so much of words. So during the pandemic, I saw that there's actually a lot of kindness that came about, and how I started was that I was actually reusing donated fabric that was actually upcycled into making facial coverings. And then later on of the year, we saw a great need in another PPE search that was actually scrub caps that was missing. So how it all started during last year was that while the facial coverings were made for the key workers, the community, as well as the children that's receiving free school lunch within the borough, as well as the surrounding boroughs, we actually saw a lot of offcuts and scraps fabric that was actually being left over. And being very aware of how much waste that we were creating, we were very, very creatively trying to get the community to come up with ideas how to tackle the waste problem. So we actually ran workshops, and we did art installation with the scraps to turn it into Christmas garlands. We make wreaths to raise funds for the local charities. And also because the whole Little A.R.K project is about the people, the community, and also to tap onto the resource that's already available, which is the creative minds of everyone and everyone's time. Because during the time when the pandemic hit, a lot of people are staying at home, and because we want to observe the lockdown rules, so we are encouraging people to stay at home, and a lot of people are finding that a little bit boring. So we used that and created opportunity and platform for everybody to get involved in doing something purposeful and useful. So hence the making of scrub caps came along. So during January on Merton Mutual Aid Facebook group, I called out for help for volunteers. And during that time, we had about over 90 volunteers that came on board to start making scrub caps. And then later on moved on to making tote bags for our NHS carers as well as key workers, so that they can actually bring their personal PPEs to work without reusing shopping bags. Because with the scrub bags, using the fabric, it's washable, it's reusable, and in the future, they can use it as shopping bags as well. Then later on, the idea sprout again of saying that we have a lot of scraps actually that is still remaining, that we can't turn everything into garland or wreath or run workshops. So what happened was that the plan is, in the end of summer, when the warm weather is over, we will be turning the remaining fabrics to make draft excluders to be dispensed to those who may be suffering from fuel poverty. So what happened is that the fabric scraps that was used for art installation and those that is not suited to use for any other craft projects will be used as stuffing for the draft excluders. If you don't know what draft excluders, it looks like a mini long pillow that you can actually put where the window and where the door are. So it will block the draft from coming into your house or your home. So that will help to maintain the heat in the house better. So, and at the end of the year, the plan is also that we will be hoping with the creative minds and a lot of volunteers, and also in the community, there are a lot of people who want to turn their hobby into something very useful and purposeful. We are trying to encourage the community to use their skills, where we're going to share, and we're going to share ideas, plans, folders, files, everything that we know, how to turn the fabric into gift bags so that there's less waste of gift wrapping during the end of year festive season. So hence that there is quite a lot of things that we can do with whatever is already available, because the most resourceful thing that we have actually as a community is our time and our creativity. So hence that I actually encourage everyone to get involved. And at now, although everyone is going back into their normal life, we have still about strong 50 volunteers that are constantly creating things using the scrap materials to make into cards. If I'm not sure if Dominic has those slides with the fabric scraps that's turned into patterns to make cards. I believe that one of the NHS workers is holding one of the card that actually has some very, very small bits of fabric that is not usable for anything. So we've got children to turn them into greeting cards, thank you cards, and written on them with messages that's very sweet and lovely to all our frontliners. And besides of that, you can also see some of the tote bags has been decorated. In fact, those fabrics were actually used beddings. They were bed linens turned into very beautiful bags that was appliqued by some teenagers that was from Duke of Edinburgh during last year when they had no chance to volunteer anywhere else. So that within the Little A.R.K, we always encourage everyone's involvement, no matter how small or how big, and reusing whatever resources that's out there. So hence that is for me for the Little A.R.K. I always say that the Little A.R.K means that the little acts of random kindness that you will get to see within our community, which is actually really, really strong within Merton Borough.
Thank you so much, Siobhan. Sorry, I was trying to find some more of those pictures, but we can add some more when we circulate the slides after the event. Thank you very much. So next we've got Nisha Thiru, who's going to be introducing a number of local circular economy initiatives operating out of the Cycle 42 hub. So if I can hand over to you, Nisha.
Hi. Hi, so my name is Nisha Thiru. I run a group called Community Champions, and we're based out of Cycle 42 in Colliers Wood. What has essentially happened in Cycle 42 is it's been transformed into what's become one of a kind of a one-stop shop for sustainability. So before I go into detail about the work that we do at Community Champions, I want to talk about the other amazing groups that I'm actually very lucky and proud to call my neighbours. So I have to start with Don's Local Action Group. So for those who aren't aware of Don's and their work in the community, they've been amazing with their contribution to helping to stop food poverty by collecting food donations, and they're a great team of volunteers. So they use Cycle 42 as their furniture hub. It's an initiative that they do with the London Furniture Collective, where they collect second-hand, pre-loved furniture to then redistribute to the community. And they offer a collection and delivery service, which makes it essential and vital for so many people who have access to nothing at all. So my relationship with Don's goes a little bit deeper, and is how we actually got the space in the first place. And Craig, who is one of the founders of Don's Local Action, is a fellow hater to waste. So he will say no, he will say yes to all donations if it means saving it from the waste. And that's how we actually met, but I'll talk about that a bit later. The other groups that we share the space with is the Bike Project. And the Bike Project is, they're working towards supporting refugees and asylum seekers by providing them with a bike of their own. Because they understand that with the limits to the funding that's available for them, they have a small budget that has to cover them for the week. So by providing a bike, they don't have to worry about transport or any access for anything. So they use Cycle 42 as a storage place, a storage point for their bikes. And where they collect secondhand bikes, they repair them and service them, and then basically give them a new lease of life. So they will actually be running a social action. So they also run social action workshops, and they'll be having hosting a community day this Saturday from 11 till 3. So if you are free, please pop down to what was the site of the old Eddie Cats, and they'll be showing what they have to offer. And also the other groups will be showing a little highlight as to what we also do. Another amazing group that we share the space with is called Care for Calais. They use the space as a hub for their operations to help refugees and asylum seekers in Merton and surrounding boroughs. So what they do is they provide vital emergency support for refugees and asylum seekers, many of whom are travelling with young children. They have a dedicated team coordinated by the amazing Seema, who manages to organise everything meticulously, which is the opposite to me, to those who know me, to make sure that they have a healthy supply of shoes, clothes, essentials, and there's even pushchairs, and she'll drive around collecting, scouring all of the sites to try and reuse what's available, to collect, to then store them, to then pass on to the refugees and anyone that needs the help. And she's always there, and she'll write a list of things that are needed to then be able to get them for the following week. And thanks to the relationship with Don's Local Action, they can also provide fresh food and groceries, as well as nappies and some toiletries when they are around, and we know how rare that is. And last but not least is Community Champions. So we were fortunate enough to come across the space, and so a bit of background about why it was kind of started. So as I've always been passionate about the environment, and it kind of shocked me ridiculously to learn that things that we're learning about at school 30 years ago are still on the curriculum today, and nothing's being done to address it when we have the solution literally lying on our doorsteps. So it was actually a costume. It was a dressing up costume that I had to buy for my year 6 daughter. It was a Victorian day costume that cost about £22 on Amazon. And the thought of having to use it for a day and then keep it aside just infuriated me. So that spawned on the idea of collecting costumes to then hire back out to the school. So it was only a school base at the time. And when I realized I was actually catching on quite a lot, when you realize that you've got 20 Roman costumes, and Elf Day was the best because you have elves in every size from 3 to 13-year-olds, which parents they don't want to buy them, but they feel that they have to buy them because they don't want their children to miss out. So we wanted to give an opportunity for parents who had an abundance of Romans and Greeks and, gosh, pirates. I'm sure all of you who have children have pirate costumes somewhere, but all of those costumes can then go back into the community, because there's a parent who's probably next door who's on Amazon and is waiting for the Amazon delivery man to say, do I have it for tomorrow morning? So it was the idea to stop people from just wasting it. And then inside, like along with the amount of waste, and charity shops didn't know what to do with them. And stories then started rising about how charity shops weren't as charitable with what was outside their premises as they were what was inside. So that stemmed on the kind of the idea of an eco-party hire. And then through a random coincidence, I've stumbled across a great network called the Party Kit Network. And the idea was to rent out party kits to reduce the waste, but to also, it would be at a price that is affordable. So it'll cost less than the equivalent in disposables. So the idea is have a zero waste party, parties that don't have to cost the earth because it's actually free. Apart from food waste, which can actually be compostable, everything is reusable. And the hope was, prior to COVID, was to reach out to schools to be able to offer them a kit, which links perfectly with to Carola was talking about with sustainability, to offer a fundraising initiative. Because I basically went out and cleared out IKEA. So we've got enough for, I think, 240 children, adults, full kit, from wine glasses to champagne glasses to jam jar cocktails to donut walls and all of this collective. The idea prior to COVID was to kind of spread it all out. And now that we have this amazing space at Cycle 42, it will now become the hub for all of our party hire. So from here, we want to reach out to local schools and offer them a free kit, because I've done the maths, it will cost about £30 to buy a kit from IKEA. And with that, the school will generate income while increasing sustainability and just educating. It's not the children I find now, it's the adults. The children are all into the green initiatives. Yes, let's litter pick, let's walk. And it's the adults. No, we haven't got time. No, it's easier just to put it in the bin, which unfortunately my mother's the same, and she'll just give the dustman a fiver, it will take it. I'm like, no, you can do something with that. So what we have created at Cycle 42 is basically a home for everything. So people are welcome to, through appointment only. I've learned that in the hard way of having to borrow garages and storage units, that we will accept everything, but you need to tell us that you're coming and we will find a place for it. So there's a box for scrap metal that, once the pile is big enough, we'll reach out to someone who can deal with it. We've got books, so we separate the books into children and adults, and it's a kind of constant stream of what we have. And we know that it just takes a little bit of hard work to kind of pair up what we have with what people need. And we had a school recently that came last weekend, who the teacher works for an SEN school, and their budget was depleted by the end of term for all teachers out there. You know, by June there's nothing there. So she came and just picked up literally a carload. She had to Uber it back, but she got the train there, full of learning materials that are all surplus, like some brand new, some just wonderful quality stuff. Some did have pieces missing, but we haven't done the quality control on all of them. But the idea, there is so much there that someone in a neighbouring town needed, and we actually just have surplus of. So the hope was just to, that's how it all stemmed, but that's how the Eco Party Hire started, and then kind of grew into Community Champions, because there was no party hires. I had to channel my energy somehow. So Community Champions started with, it was just groceries. It was groceries and essentials for key workers. Like we were at home relaxing, they were at work saving us. So it felt just ridiculous that they couldn't have fresh groceries. So that's how it started. And then thanks to a connection that was made through the party hire, through an amazing eco-warrior, Katie Meach, who I'm sure everybody is now aware of, she made a connection between me and Zach from Merton Mutual Aid. And then we used to work with surplus fruit, vegetables. And then the dream team was formed of, when I finally met Craig. So Craig from Don's Local Action, who wouldn't say no to anything. So he would present me with hundreds of loaves of bread. So at the start, my driveway was presented with, my husband just wasn't allowed to look out the window, but it was just bread, and then vegetables. And then it was all the surplus that was being thrown away from supermarkets that we were then making connections within the community. So we had food banks and soup kitchens. And now, like a year on, there's nothing that can be presented to us that we can't distribute, which is wonderful. But there are also lots of volunteering opportunities. If anyone would like to get in contact with me, please do. And I don't know if I've gone over my time, because I started my time a bit late, but thank you so much for listening. And we hope to make Merton and surrounding boroughs sustainable and just eco-friendly.
Thank you so much, Nisha. And apologies, I didn't go through the slides because I wasn't sure when the right time was, but there's more information on the slides there, and there's contact details on this slide here as well, if anybody wants to get in touch with any of the initiatives that Nisha's mentioned. Thanks very much. So this takes us on to our last speaker, Nicola Davenport, who's going to tell us about WhoSki. Nicola, if I can hand over to you.
Super, thank you very much, Dominique. What a load of really exciting presentations we've had today. So hello all, hater to waste, as Nisha calls us. Nisha called us that, didn't she? Anyway, I am Nicola. I am Wimbledon based and a co-founder of the online peer-to-peer marketplace, WhoSki.com. It's been absolutely fabulous to hear today about so many exciting grassroots circular economy initiatives. So I'm going to explain a little bit more about how WhoSki.com fits into the picture. Along with so many other forms of waste, throwaway fashion is a massive and growing problem. You may have heard Stella McCartney last weekend highlighting pollution in the fashion industry to G7 delegates at the Eden Project. It was great too to hear her promoting the benefits of sustainable fashion, the resale, pre-loved and rental models such as Carrie Johnson favours. Perhaps you don't know or you aren't aware, but fashion, well, surprisingly, is the world's second most polluting industry, and that's after the oil industry. So they look pretty, but textiles really are a filthy business. Horrifyingly, in the UK alone, we send 350,000 tonnes of unwanted clothing to landfill each year, while a further 80,000 tonnes are incinerated. Specialist clothing such as winter sportswear is a particular problem for a number of reasons, and that's why we at WhoSki.com are focusing on that. Firstly, it's hard and obviously unethical to export winter sports clothing to the developing world, and other clothing, to be quite honest, where it's simply not wanted, and also it's helping destroy the native textile industries. Secondly, have a think about what your ski jacket or pants are made of. Zips, Velcro, Gore-Tex, Kevlar, fake fur, specialist waterproof coatings. These are mixed materials which all appear in a single item of clothing, which makes it difficult and costly to recycle these items. Thirdly, plastic-based fibres remain in landfill for decades, and harmful chemicals from them leach out into the environment. They are extremely reluctant to biodegrade. Polyester, for example, is likely to survive for over 200 years in landfill. So what can you do? What can we do? We've heard talk earlier on of circular economy guru Ellen MacArthur. She has done an awful lot of research into this area, and she advises that by increasing the average number of times a piece of clothing is worn is the most direct lever to improve the eco-credentials of your wardrobe. Forget recycle, reuse is the key. Wearing it for longer, even by just an extra 3 months, reduces its carbon, waste and water footprint by between 5 and 10%. And that's according to the Textile Recycling Association. An extra 3 months for a ski jacket means if you go skiing 1 week a year, that's an awful lot of years. You may not want to wear your ski jacket for that long, but somebody else may well want to. That brings me on to our circular economy business, WhoSki.com. Our goal is to keep that high quality, unwanted, no longer needed winter sports clothing in circulation and out of landfill. We enable this via our dedicated peer-to-peer online marketplace, where you can buy and sell high quality winter sports clothing, refreshing your look, saving money and helping reduce wastage. If you are a family skier or a snowboarder, you'll know that children grow out of their kit almost instantly and long before it wears out, often before it's even shown any signs of wear. And that's even if you manage to pass on a jacket or a pair of snow boots from one child to another. They've often been worn for literally 6 days in resort, and that's it, before they're put away for another year or just head on to a charity shop. But it's not just kids gear that we're encouraging people to buy and sell. Good quality winter sports clothing is durable by nature, as I've already mentioned, and adults are now changing their piece look more frequently than ever before. In the Instagram age, for example, many skiers and boarders, particularly younger ones, want to showcase a different look for every post, or every other post at least. And for that reason, many people now take a selection of outfits, even if they're only going for a week in the mountains. Even if you're not on Instagram or TikTok, The quality and durability of good quality ski gear means you may well be sick of the sight of your ski jacket before it actually needs replacing. Bear in mind too, that different kit is required for different disciplines. Increasing numbers of us aren't just downhill skiing now, we're also snowboarding, we're cross-country skiing, we're taking part in backcountry skiing, where you hike up mountains into the wilderness and ski down the other side. Each one of those disciplines requires different sorts of gear. That's a lot of extra gear and potentially a lot of extra landfill. Another reason why we've launched WhoSki.com. We're a dedicated online site where you can sell on the clothing you no longer want or need and buy yourself a cut price replacement. So with WhoSki.com, it is possible, as our tagline says, to look good on the slopes for less, while supporting sustainable fashion and enjoying the new of a new style for a new season, guilt-free. So in conclusion, let me just say one more thing. Remember, as I've already mentioned, reuse always beats recycle. And please pass it on. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Nicola. It's really great to hear about such a range of activities already happening in the borough. It's really inspiring. So we've got 10 minutes left for questions, which is great. Thank you everybody for sticking to time and racing through your bits. But we're also going to be hopefully sharing the recording and the slides from the event with contact details, so you can follow up with individual speakers as well. I also just wanted to flag that it is the London Circular Economy Week, and it's running until tomorrow. So there are still some events happening tomorrow across London, which you can have a look on the CE Week website and see what's happening if you're interested in hearing some more. So I think maybe we'll move on to questions. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen so that I can see the chat as well. So I think we've got Gabriel, if you want to start us off.
Thanks. Let's get rid of the raised hand, if I can. Just 1 second. I think I've gone to, never mind. Just a quick one in the meantime to Anthony. You were saying that everything you've got there in the Library of Things was brand new, donated. Do you accept donations of second-hand items from local residents?
Yes, thank you, Gabriel. Yeah, we're just starting out, so not at the moment, just because of some of the kind of safety and just the kind of maintenance arrangements of that. But that is certainly something we're looking at for the future. That's certainly our aspiration, to be able to take on donated items for the future. So I think probably it will take us a little bit of time just to get fully established with what we're currently providing. But as soon as we're at that point, we'll certainly be looking at that for the future.
Thank you. I think maybe the easiest way to do it is to raise hands. So I think we've got Nicola, who I can see on my screen.
Hi, yeah, thanks, Dominic. I've got a question for Nisha. I absolutely love what you're doing at Cycle 42. Absolutely fantastic. I'm slightly worried though. I know that site is up for redevelopment, the old Eddie Katz hub. So what's going to happen when the site's redeveloped, and where are you going to be moving to? I'm really desperate that you don't lose your slot.
So at the moment, we've got about 1 to 2 years. So it's only really starting on, I think the contractor's actually coming in this week to start. But so the planning things are really in the early days. So what we're hoping is by that time, we'll have more support from the council, hint, hint, to be able to offer, just because I know Katie, like someone mentioned, a collective, a CIC who helps find empty spaces and then rehomes them. So if there are more initiatives, or even if the council were to buy a warehouse to then do all of these things, but it will have to take. So we stumbled across this by chance. So if it hadn't have been for Cycle 42, I would have continued running it out of my garage and the big yellow storage unit, which we have as well. But we would have found a way, but this has just made it so much easier for the community to actually do it. Just one place to drop it off to, which is only come by community initiatives from someone looking for, like one of the volunteers called Vidya from Dons, who actually researched and found this place. And then the brave soul who said yes to me and my crazy plans. And now it's all working beautifully. And it's just shocking It's not open to the public yet because you'd be shocked at how messy it is, but we're working towards it, and it's amazing. It's just lovely. And we take tools. If you want to send tools in, we'll take your tools. We'll take literally everything that can be given a life. We will hold on to it until we can give it a new home.
Thank you. Yeah, Diana, did you want to come back on that?
I'd love to come back to that. I don't know whether I've used the right hands up, but thumbs up, but it's a thumbs up because of all the wonderful stuff. So I'm here as the Chief Exec of Sustainable Merton, which I'm sure I know a number of you obviously in the room. But so Nisha, what you've just said there, one of the concepts that I've been working with Carola as the community lead co-chair for the green economy is about a circular economy hub. And what you've articulated is really what we would love to see. And it would be great to get people's feedback in the room on that concept, because the key issue is obviously finding a venue and space and how that is funded. But I believe that by you bringing your initiative into the public domain, if you like, because there's an awful lot that happens in those big yellow and other storage spaces, but no one can see them. So having a public face, I would agree, is really, really important. And that's what we would like to do as the green economy group leads, is bring all these separate initiatives, which we've heard of a number of them only today. There are others, into this kind of collective where we can thereby build capacity even more, because we need to showcase the brilliant stuff that you as leaders are doing, and also bring in others. I mean, that I think would really help Merton be on the front foot, if you like, in terms of the circular economy. So any views that you've got on that would be really, really good to hear, because that is something that Carola and I are working on, and particularly working with Dom at the council in terms of looking how we can leverage in funding and commercial support actually for that. Yeah.
Thank you both for that. Katie, you've got your hand up. Oh, you're on mute, Katie.
Okay, there we go. Hand down and off mute. I just wanted to add to what Nisha was saying that, it was just fortuitous that the Cycle 42 space got used, and it's absolutely brilliant. And you've actually chanced upon something that does exist as a concept. It's called meanwhile space. And that is the use of whether it's an actual building or whether it's just an outdoor space. There may be a period of time, 1 to 2 years in this case, where a space is not being used by developers, and the community can use it far better than just leaving it derelict. And I think in particular at the moment, as we're seeing, more shops being boarded up, very sadly, there's the Princess Road GP surgery near me in Wimbledon that's boarded up. These places look dreadful if they're left as they are. And if community groups can come in and do something with it, even if it's only for a year or two, it's a win-win for everybody.
Thanks very much, Katie. Yeah, and that ties in really nicely with that circular approach that we're all talking about today. I don't see, oh yes, Siobhan, I see your hand, your real hand.
So basically, during the Little Art was operating, we were also working together with another CIC in Morden called the Sound Lounge. So it's also another great part of the circulatory economy. So we have used their space that have not been utilized. As a cafe, we have run workshops, and all these things actually are very, very good. Like what Nisha said, what her concept is almost like a hub for everyone to go pick up things and drop off things, right? But in fact, we have a lot of initiatives in the community actually is doing such great work, serving the people as well. And if we can skill share and share ideas and exchange things that you already know or you already have, I think, it all ties in. It's not just about the materials, it's not just about the things or items, but in fact, the brains as well. I think that will be a great hub that will keep it going, not just the people that's already now doing, but also imparting the idea to other parts, younger generation. I think Carola just now was already asking her 8.5-year-old daughter, she loves to sew, can she do that? My daughter was 9 last year when she was actually helping me to sew facial covering for the community and the key workers. And in fact, as a community, I'm 100 shy of 30,000 facial coverings being dispensed among the people in 1 year. So as collectively, I believe that we can do so much more. So that's just my coming to what Diana and Nisha was saying. If everyone were to put together their heads, I think it's a bomb.
That's a really good point, Siobhan. That green skills sharing is such an important part of getting to net zero carbon, and especially that intergenerational skills sharing as well is really interesting. So yeah, really good point. Thank you. So we're 2 minutes off from the end of the meeting. I don't know if anybody has any last minute comments that they wanted to make. Otherwise, we might just wrap up. I'll give you a couple of seconds to raise your hand if you want to. Oh, yep, Gabriel. Oh, you're on mute, Gabriel.
Another comment, just a very quick question to Nisha. For those who can't make it on Saturday, this Saturday, are you going to have another open day sometime in the future? It would be very useful.
So our hope, we were going to kind of hijack Saturday, but then realised it was more about the social action group. So we've toned down everything that we're doing. So we're hoping to do like a summer fete, because I'm an ex-PTA person, so I'm deprived of fete and children's activities. So we're hoping to highlight everything that we do, and we are going to be doing workshops and putting together community garden and working with other community groups and their volunteer network to offer an alternative. So we were speaking to someone from Merton Guild who, because the food bank was closed, their volunteers are now looking for things to do, and I'm the kind of person who I'll make a job for them. If you like something, I'll find a way to use that skill, whether it be gardening, weeding, sewing, electrics. There's something under that warehouse for it's like everything under one roof. So there is something for everyone. So there will be a lot more information about what we're doing. We were not ready to shout about it yet because I want to kind of get a manage of what we're doing, but there'll definitely 100% more information coming out to the community and neighbours and workshops, and lots of engaging things for everybody, hopefully. Not hopefully, definitely.
Thanks very much, Nisha. Got a couple more hands up. Michael, I think you were first.
Okay, I think I've unmuted myself now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I just wanted to say thank you for holding this event. I've learnt lots of stuff which I had no idea existed. And I'm glad someone's actually taken the time to actually get the word out. So thanks very much for volunteering your time to do this.
Thank you. Thanks, Michael. Thank you for coming along.
That's all. No, you're welcome.
Thank you. And Katie, our last comment.
Okay, I just wanted to add that in terms of circular economy, another of the climate action groups projects, the Merton Garden Streets, has a circular economy element as well. And that is that now we've got 77 streets signed up, and we're trying as much as possible to also encourage sharing around the streets and around the borough in terms of sorry, I just had a call, I had to get off. So for example, people taking cuttings from a lavender plant and then, sharing it with other parts of the borough as well. So avoiding, people having to go to garden centres, plastic pots, probably sold and peat compost as well. We're trying to kind of create a lot of local sharing of plants and cuttings and seeds and seedlings as well.
Thank you. Yes, really good to flag that. Thank you so much. Well, I think we've got to the end of the meeting now. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all the speakers. It's been really great hearing from all of you, and thank you for all the work that you're doing in the borough. It's really exciting and inspiring. So massive thanks, and thank you very much to everyone who came along today for taking your lunch break to listen to us. I hope you found it interesting, and we will try and circulate slides and hopefully try and get the video up online if we can. But yeah, massive thank you to you all. Bye.